My seemingly perfect fiancé, who is 32 years old male, cheated on me. I am 28 years old female. This happened when he was blacked out drunk with a co-worker of his. They went in a toilet at an event and ended up making each other happy. We were both present at the same even in the month of February of this year. My fiancé and I had just celebrated our 2-year anniversary and Valentine's Day. We were in a great spot. We always were. We have always had a beautiful and deep relationship, and we can't get enough of each other. He never goes out with his mates, or if he does, he begs that I come along with him because he just loves to have me around. He worked at the same place for 10 years and was changing careers and therefore having a farewell with his current workplace. He is a manager who has a great relationship with all of his colleagues. Prior to our relationship, he tended to date lots of women he worked with. However, since we were together, all of his workmates followed us on social media. He would call me at work. He and his female colleagues would be in the background commenting on a relationship, about how much he loved me, that he was punching above his weight and knew he was stepfather to my 2 children. Here's where it all falls. He desperately wants me to come to his farewell. He's begging me daily for weeks. I personally am not keen on the idea because I'm a bit socially anxious and I feel it should be his moment with his colleague, and not having to introduce me to a bunch of people I won't even see again. He pleads and says he will book us a hotel. The city where he works is an hour and a half away from home, and so I reluctantly decided to go. We get to the hotel. He brings a male colleague to have some drinks before we go to the farewell, and this relaxed me and I became excited for the night ahead, assisted by a few vodkas. I go to the farewell and meet all of his colleagues. They all clearly adore him. He's just one of those guys. He's a people person with an infectious personality and just a nice person. No ego about him at all. You could tell everybody was truly devastated because he was leaving. He is proudly showing me off to all of his colleagues, and I end up sitting at a table with a few females. One of them, let's call her Jessica. I didn't know lots of people here, but Jessica had come up previously. I had previously seen some work emails between my fiancé and her, which were somewhat flirty, lots of emojis, and my fiancé wrote in one of them, "Thanks, my love." I brought this up with him because I felt it was inappropriate. If I had a boss and they called me my love, that wouldn't sit well with me. He apologized and said this was just how he interacted with lots of females at his workplace, even with the 50 to 60-year-old women he managed. However, the terminology had slipped into an interaction with a 22-year-old. I was very put off by it. However, it absolutely is how he speaks to people, and also this girl was not somebody I was intimidated by, nor did I think he would be attracted to. So that is the only context I have to the relationship before this farewell. While sitting at the table with her, my fiancé sits with his hand in my lap, touching me and trying to make sure I'm comfortable, and I am observing her mannerism. She is playing with her hair and constantly adjusting her dress around her breast and being generally flirtatious with my partner. Oh, that bitch. I just see this as a typical work crush that a young female has on her male older boss. As the night progresses, everybody is feeding my fiancé drink after drink. He hasn't binge drank since we have been together, and I didn't think he was too intoxicated. However, he was having shots, some of which Jessica purchased for him, and I'm just feeling like I can't really get drunk and that I'm being a drag on his big night. I tell him I want to go back to the hotel and let him enjoy the rest of the night with his friend, and he begs me to stay. This happens a few times until I eventually get an Uber. He walks me to the Uber and kisses me, tells me how much he adores me and thanks me for coming, and tells me he won't be too far behind me getting back to the hotel. Now, as a joke, I said, "Don't go cheating on me with Jessica," to which we both laughed, and he's like, "Absolutely not. I love you so much." A few hours later, he is carried into our hotel room by 3 colleagues, 1 male and 2 females, no Jessica. He's completely out of his senses and throwing up until morning. I've never seen him like this. I have to leave the hotel early to pick up my kids from their dads. As I'm leaving the hotel, I get a text from an unknown person. The context of the message turns my blood cold. It essentially says that my fiancé sexually assaulted his partner Jessica. It's this long, horrible message about if I'm in a monogamous relationship, that I need to know about my fiancé's behavior. Last night, he took advantage of his status and sexually assaulted a vulnerable co-worker. I asked the person who texted I to call me immediately to tell me what happened. It was the boyfriend of Jessica. He eventually called me back. He says that Jessica returned home from the night out, completely distressed. At the start of the night of the farewell, he made a comment about her looking hot, which made her uncomfortable and she wanted to leave, but decided not to. After you left for the hotel, your husband dragged her into a bathroom, kissed her, and told her that he wanted to duck her. She tried to push him off of her and left the bathroom. Instead of leaving the venue, she then goes and sits in a booth with him and talked to him. The boyfriend says that there were witnesses and that my husband also did the same to other girls that night. I eventually spoke to Jessica, who echoes what her boyfriend says. However, she says there were no other girls involved. She says he dragged her in the toilets and kissed her. while she said, "But what about your fiancé?" over and over. I am very kind to her and understanding. However, I have a question if she was offended by him at the start of the night. Why did she stick around and buy drinks? She says there was no comment at the start of the night. She also says that there was absolutely no context to it and that she felt it was just a drunk spur-of-the-moment thing. I speak to witnesses from the night. They all say it was her who led him into the toilets. However, his best male colleague says at one point, he told my fiancé to stop flirting with Jessica, which he awkwardly laughed off. This was before the toilet situation, basically. When I confronted my fiancé about it, he didn't remember one single thing. His skin was yellow and he was vomiting for days. He tells me that before he met me, when he would drink, he would often black out and behave completely out of character, which is why he no longer drank during our relationship. He had never cheated before, but he would act violently and break things and get in fights. And then wake up the next day, he would not remember anything. This was all validated by his friends and also since speaking with my psychologist. He believes that due to the alcohol, his depression medication, Seroquel, and the history of alcoholism in his family, that it is a high possibility he truly doesn't remember. Another potentially important factor is that his father passed away a few months earlier from alcoholism, and he was still struggling with this. My fiancé vowed to stop drinking whilst he barely did in the first place. He hasn't drank in 6 months. He allows me to see his phone, and he has cut ties with everybody from that workplace. He seems as completely heartbroken and confused about it as I was. Our relationship is good. He is patient and understanding. However, I'm still constantly riddled with the sickening imagery of him in a toilet with another woman trying to do her. It's 6 months on and I'm still broken about it. I'm so torn about whether, due to the prior context of flirty texts, that I am missing something. Surely he wouldn't beg for me to come to the farewell and beg me to stay if he had any intent of cheating on me. It's hard with every cheating story I read on here. I'm trying to find some comfort in this getting easier and us getting past this. However, I'm constantly seeing once a cheater, always a cheater, and drunk actions or sober thought. And I just can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something and I'm going to be hurt again other than this one isolated situation. He has been everything I've ever dreamt of. Here are some genuine comments in response to this story. It very much sounds like your boyfriend was sexually assaulted by Jessica. From your account of events, she got him drunk and led him to the bathroom, and since you have no idea what happened there, I would not assume your boyfriend did anything wrong. Jessica lied to her boyfriend to save face after probably being turned down by your man. She sounds like a straight-up predator, and if the genders were reversed, I don't think you'd be looking at your significant other as a cheater. Just some food for thought. Yeah, I have pondered this a lot too. When my fiancé was first told of the events, he refused to believe it for days. He said he felt like he had been drugged or that she was making it up. I don't believe he was perfectly innocent at the party, given he was told to stop flirting. But I don't think it's impossible that she seduced him. Why would she go and sit in a booth with him after it if she was so traumatized by it, and then go home to her boyfriend saying she was assaulted just hard? I know guys this has happened to who didn't even have girlfriends or significant others of any kind, and they still were devastated to find out they were raped the next day. I also have had to end friendships with women who were purposely preying on my drunk male friend, who had the same tolerance as your fiancé with alcohol. This sounds like rape. Jessica seems like she set herself up to play the victim when she got caught, because witnesses are saying it's not a she said, he said situation and that your fiancé was the one being taken advantage of. If I were in the same position, I'd support your fiancé because he might be struggling with this just as much as you are, and it's better to figure it out together and trust your fiancé than trust a lie who's trying to save face after she got caught.